This was the 21st of July 2011. And this would be the last time the space shuttle would fly, returning astronauts from the ISS for the last time before being decommissioned. And for 9 years, NASA would not send another human to space on American soil. At the time of the space shuttle's retirement, NASA had no other alternative space vehicles capable of sending astronauts to the space station. NASA was faced with a problem. How would they send astronauts to the space station? So they turned to Russia. NASA would begin buying seats for its astronauts. This proved to be the only solution, but an expensive one. A seat on Russia's Soyuz capsule would cost over $90 million, and this would not be sustainable for NASA. The space shuttle was supposed to be NASA's ultimate spacecraft. It was seen as a spacecraft that will reduce the cost of space flights to the ISS, while increasing the frequency of flights, making space flights more routine. But this did not happen. The space shuttle program became ridiculously expensive, costing about $3 to $4 billion over its estimated cost, and was not frequent, only reaching 4 or 5 flights a year. The shuttle program also suffered 2 tragic accidents in 1986, when the Challenger exploded just about a minute into its flight, killing all 7 crew members. And the second in 2003, when the shuttle Columbia broke apart during re-entry, killing all 7 astronauts.
3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go with throttle up.
Challenger, go with throttle up.
It happened just over 1 minute into flight.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
From Mission Control, silence.
After the shuttle's retirement, in 2011, the US could no longer launch astronauts on its spacecraft. So they turned to the only country capable of launching astronauts, which was Russia's Soyuz spacecraft. Hitching a ride on the Soyuz spacecraft became more and more expensive as the years went on. Originally, the US would pay $20 million per seat on the Soyuz spacecraft, and now they pay over $90 million per seat. This made NASA re-evaluate their partnership. They did not want to be dependent. In a bid to become independent, NASA created the Commercial Crew Program. The Commercial Crew Program was born from a prior initiative at NASA called the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services Program, COTS. COTS was born in the mid-2000s, and the idea behind COTS was to make private space companies develop spacecraft that will deliver cargo to the ISS. COTS proved to be successful, with 2 winning companies, SpaceX and Kissler, being able to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. The success of the COTS program gave NASA the confidence and the slight possibility of these companies to move beyond faring cargo to faring astronauts. Under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, companies would bid for a fixed-price contract to build a vehicle to carry astronauts to the space station. Out of the companies that bid, Boeing and SpaceX won, which lit the fire of their rivalry. Boeing would be awarded a $4.2 billion contract, while SpaceX was awarded a $2.6 billion contract. Due to the nature of the contract being a fixed-price contract, the companies would have to cover any additional cost they incurred during the development of their spacecraft. But this also meant the companies would retain all of their intellectual property and can use it for whatever they please after the due commitments with NASA have been fulfilled. The nature of the dual company contract put SpaceX and Boeing head-to-head, with each company competing to develop the most cost-effective and innovative spacecraft yet. NASA also hoped having 2 transport-ready spacecraft would be beneficial both for innovation, and a backup in case one company was to suddenly have a problem or issue and was grounded, to make the program more robust and less dependent, as NASA had previously been in the past. The plan was for NASA to fund these capsules' development and be their customers, buying flights to and from the space station as needed. SpaceX would use its money from the contract to develop its Crew Dragon capsule, while Boeing would develop its Starliner capsule. This set off the race to see which company will reach the International Space Station first. Both capsules were designed to be reusable, therefore cutting cost, with SpaceX cutting more cost due to the reusability of the Falcon 9 booster itself. The Crew Dragon versus Starliner. The Boeing Starliner capsule would be a conically shaped capsule, larger than the Apollo capsule but smaller than the next-generation Orion capsule. The capsule would be capable of carrying 7 astronauts, although NASA plans to use it in a configuration of 4 with extra storage for cargo. The Starliner would be an autonomous capsule, being able to rendezvous and dock with the space station all by itself. The Starliner featured a completely weldless design, opting for interlocking parts, which eliminates the unreliabilities introduced by welding. It has 12 reusable command module thrusters for maneuvering. The Starliner would also include an abort system, which is powered by 4 RS-88 Phantom engines. Boeing had the advantage of having a long history working with NASA for decades, on other programs such as the shuttle program, and the experience of building spacecraft. This naturally gave NASA the hopes that Boeing would beat SpaceX and deliver first. Under the COTS program, SpaceX developed the uncrewed Dragon capsule for carrying cargo to the space station. The Dragon 2 or Crew Dragon capsule would be based on its knowledge from the uncrewed cargo Dragon 1 capsule. SpaceX initially intended to modify its cargo Dragon 1 capsule and make it capable of human transport. But SpaceX later left its plans to use the original capsule and designed a new capsule for human transport. Unveiling the Dragon 2 capsule, or rather called the Crew Dragon capsule in 2014. The capsule would be a sleek, curvy, black and white capsule design, looking a lot less industrial and mechanical, and unlike the capsules of the past and more comfortable and futuristic. It would feature a spacious interior, with minimalistic seats and a gigantic touch-screen control panel system, unlike the arrays of buttons in the previous capsule designs. It featured a beautifully designed UI for displaying telemetry and controls. The Crew Dragon capsule was originally designed to feature side engines, which will not just be used for an in-flight abort system but also for propulsively landing the capsule, using its brand new Super Draco engines. Although this plan would eventually be scrapped and SpaceX would opt for a parachute landing system instead, due to NASA's safety requirements, leaving the Super Dracos used just for an in-flight abort system. The controls of the Crew Dragon capsule would largely be touch-based, with only a few physical buttons. And the touch surfaces would be sensitive, even through the astronauts' spacesuits. The Crew Dragon capsule also featured what looks like a service module, but is actually called a trunk, which served 4 main purposes. It would hold the solar arrays for the capsule. It also holds the radiators to keep the craft cool. It holds the winglets used for maneuvering during an abort scenario, and the 4th, it will serve as an unpressurized cargo hold. According to the NASA Office of Inspector General, the OIG, NASA would pay SpaceX $55 million per seat, while paying Boeing $90 million per seat, for the 6 round-trip missions to the International Space Station. As you can imagine, this caused a sense of unfairness towards SpaceX. Not only were they getting less development money than Boeing, but they were also getting paid less per seat than Boeing. Boeing came out to reject the OIG's report of an average seat price assessment of $90 million, saying it would be flying the equivalent of a 5th passenger in cargo for NASA, so the per-seat pricing should be considered based on 5 seats rather than 4. SpaceX, on the other hand, was underestimated. It was seen as the new kid on the block, inexperienced at flying rockets, especially considering that SpaceX had a very rocky start, with the first 3 of its launches failing in 2008, which caused the company to almost shut down. But they persevered and their fourth launch was a success, which caused NASA to award him a $1.6 billion contract for resupply missions to the ISS, without which, SpaceX would have gone bankrupt. But SpaceX had the advantage of being flexible, fast and agile. Due to the company being privately owned, they would not be limited by government budgets or regulations or political decisions as NASA once was after the Apollo program. This meant they could develop new technologies faster and easily change direction. SpaceX was also able to apply a lot of what it learned during the development of its cargo capsule for the COTS program to the Crew Dragon capsule for the Commercial Crew program. By the time it won the Commercial Crew program contract in 2014, SpaceX had already been carrying cargo to the ISS for 2 years. The Commercial Crew program was not left without challenges and delays. Both companies experienced failures and hurdles which delayed the expected first launch of the program. The Commercial Crew program was originally slated to launch the first astronauts in 2017, but due to early budget cuts and failed tests, the program was delayed. Boeing's Starliner had a series of failed tests. In 2018, one of the Starliner capsule's engines was found to have a propellant leak during a launch abort test. In December 2019, Boeing had a major setback with its orbital flight test, which is an important milestone. The uncrewed Starliner capsule was supposed to launch to the ISS, dock with the ISS, spend a few days there and return, but shortly after launch, they discovered an anomaly in the timing system of the spacecraft itself, which caused the engines to fire at the wrong time, putting the spacecraft in the wrong orbit, and it never met with the ISS. But the Starliner did make it back successfully. If not for this failure, Boeing would have most likely won the race against SpaceX. This failure for Boeing changed NASA's confidence in Boeing's ability to deliver, with NASA even admitting to placing too much confidence in Boeing because of their history together, which caused NASA to overlook some of Boeing's software issues and over-scrutinize SpaceX. NASA would go on to recommend 80 changes to the Starliner. The failure of Boeing's Starliner put SpaceX ahead of the competition, although it still had its own issues. SpaceX suffered a series of setbacks and failures. Its Crew Dragon capsule suffered a failure in 2019 when the capsule blew up during a test of the in-flight abort system. SpaceX's Falcon 9 had also suffered 2 failures, the first during a cargo resupply mission to the ISS in 2015, and another failure in 2016, that was supposed to launch Facebook's $200 million satellite, which blew up during refueling. But SpaceX was significantly more capable in the software side of things, owing to Elon Musk's previous ventures such as Tesla and PayPal, and his experience in software development, which Boeing did not have at the time. After all the setbacks, SpaceX finally flew the first astronauts to the International Space Station in the Crew Dragon Demo 2 test mission in 2020, carrying astronauts Douglas Hurley and Robert Behnken with its Crew Dragon capsule named Endeavour on the 30th of May 2020, where they spent about 2 months on the ISS before returning. Making history for being the first company to fly astronauts from American soil in 9 years since the retirement of the Space Shuttle program in 2011. Since then, SpaceX has launched several more crewed missions to the ISS. Boeing's Starliner has not yet performed a successful launch of astronauts to the ISS. The company expects to launch its next test flight by the end of July 2021 if all goes well, which will still put Boeing a year behind SpaceX. The Commercial Crew program is already showing its successes and the benefits of such partnerships with private space companies. The program has estimated to save NASA $20 to $30 billion worth of taxpayers' money, because of the method of contracting and efficiency of the companies to reach their milestones. This program has cut the cost of launching astronauts to space using these companies' technologies, while SpaceX and Boeing have also benefited from NASA funding the development of their technology. SpaceX is not limited to ferrying NASA astronauts only. The company has already signed contracts to fly 3 tourists to the ISS using its Crew Dragon capsule, and Falcon 9 rocket later this year at $55 million per seat. In a way, being underestimated was SpaceX's biggest advantage over Boeing, and SpaceX proved everybody wrong. If you found this video informative, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.